Hello, and welcome to episode number 23 of the Marriage Coach Podcast, where we are here to help you take your relationship from surviving to thriving.
Today on the Marriage Coach Podcast, we're going to be talking about 3 questions that's guaranteed to change your life.
So, babe, as we always do, there's only a few more days left in 2020. And although 2020 has been a different kind of year for everyone, we are still doing what we always do towards the end of the year. And towards the end of the year, we sit back and we start to look over our lives, whatever year it is, we look back over our lives and see what we have experienced over the years. So when we were thinking about it, we started to talk about how has this worked for us? And this has worked for us because it sets the tone. It's like a foundation for what propels us into next year.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of the things. I mean, really didn't realize it early on, but it's the thing that we kind of really been doing for a long time. And that's really, getting preparing for the next
The
year,
year to come.
reflecting on the current year. And
Right.
that's something, we do. I do it in, marriage, do it in ministry, do it in business. It's 3 questions. So from the start, these some 3 questions, good questions to ask yourself, throughout the year. The conversation where we get into, gratitude and
Yes.
reflecting. And you have to take some time to really celebrate
Yeah.
it. I
Come
mean,
on. Come on.
even in your marriage, that you enjoyed about something I did on this year or
Right.
something that I improved on this year. Those are times
Celebrate.
and those are moments to get together and to celebrate, because what gets celebrated gets repeated. And we want to make sure, those things are getting repeated, because it's so easy, whether, it's in your marriage, whether it's in your business, even if you're dealing with a coworker, it's so easy to always getting on the individual when things are
Focus on the
wrong.
negative. Yeah.
It's so easy, but when something is going good, let people know.
And the crazy thing is that it wasn't until we were talking and we talk it through that we realized that these same questions that we use for ministry, we use for business, we use them in our lives.
Yeah, everything.
It wasn't even just very obvious. It was something you had to look at, because at the end of every year,
We're
on
reflecting.
exactly on New
Reflecting, yeah.
Year's Eve, and some basically it starts around Christmas time. We start to think about all the things that we've done this year and how things have gone in our lives. And I tell you, for 2020, such a sense of, it's always been, but even the more now,
Yeah.
in light of what everyone has faced in this year for this pandemic. In 2020, the gratitude started way before December. But I promise you, when you reflect on all that God has done for you,
Yeah.
all that God has allowed to transpire in your life, all the good, when you just put a spotlight on that, the fact that you are still alive, the fact that you are healthy, the fact that you have a place to stay, the
Yeah.
fact that He kept you employed, or even if you were unemployed, the fact that He kept your family going, that whatever it is that He did for you and whatever your life was, the fact that you were a better husband this year than you were last year. Not that you were not a good husband, but just being better as a person. The fact that you were a better friend, whatever it is. And I'm just saying all of these things. Gratitude is the things that you are so elated and so happy, the things that just overwhelm your heart. And I promise you, if you take some time over the next few days in any relationship, whether it's as a parent, whether it's as a husband, a wife, a sister, a brother, a parental relationship, whatever it is, if you take some time to reflect on the good that has happened in your relationship, on the good that has come out of your relationship, how you're better. And I mean, I do realize, and I know that as I say this, that there are some people who are sitting and they may feel the exact opposite because maybe some things did not go so well in your relationship this year, but you are still here. That's something to have gratitude about. That's something to be grateful for.
Yeah.
Reflect on how you are going to be better even after this situation is over with. Reflect on what you have learned in the midst of what you've gone through, because
Yes.
every situation and every circumstance makes us better if we focus on the good in that situation. It won't always feel good, but if we focus on the good, or the good that comes out of it, what we've accomplished, what has been done, it will change your mind when you think about. And if we take this, look in the newspapers, look on the
Mm.
online, look at all the things that people are experiencing all over the world. My grandmother used to say this thing, and when I was a kid, I didn't understand it. She said, "There's always someone worse off than you are." And a
Mm.
lot of times we don't take the time to look at, while I'm complaining about what didn't happen for me
Yeah.
this year, I'm not even celebrating what did happen for me. While
Absolutely.
I'm looking at the fact that, the gift, the bag, the purse, the blank, whatever it is that you wanted, you think about you didn't get those things, or those things didn't happen for you this year. But if you look at the good, if you look at what you got, this year for 2020, so many people have received the gift of spending time with
Mm.
their
Yeah.
family like never before,
Yeah.
because we had to slow down, we had to be still. So you have time to have gratitude. Take time out to make specific time to reflect on what has gone right in your life this year.
The first question you want to ask yourself is what went right? What went
Mhm.
right? Celebrate it, because you don't want to. And this is why I believe in starting off with what went right. You want to start off being positive. You want to
Mhm.
start off.
Yeah.
You want to start the conversation off, and you want to be excited. You want to have that momentum going before you start going through these next questions we're talking about. So we spend a lot of time on what went right. Go ahead.
Oh, and especially in relationship,
Mhm.
when you're talking about, just imagine, for husbands and wives, as you're reflecting on what has gone throughout this year, and you're reflecting on where, you want to be next year, and the things that are going on in your life as a spouse.
Yeah.
You definitely, if you're going to come to me as a spouse, come to me with what went right first, what you love about me first,
Yeah.
what has been better
Exactly.
about our relationship
Yeah.
first. Come to me about how I've improved as a wife,
Yeah.
how I've improved as a husband.
What you
What
love.
are the things
What do you
exactly? What are
love?
the things that you
What do you
do that
like?
I like?
Yeah.
What are the things that you've been doing that I'm so
Yeah.
happy about for us? And it's been a couple of years now, but we talked about it recently. We started to make sure we were more intentional about appreciating each other
Yeah.
and saying thank you for like verbally saying thank you to your spouse. And
Yeah.
that's something that for us to talk about what went right. We did that a lot more in
Mm.
2020.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to relationships, you definitely want to go to your spouse with the good first. Everybody wants the next year of their life to be better than this year of your life. Even if this year was great, you still, every year you want to go up. That's what we want to do. So if you come to your spouse, your significant other, your fiance, the person that you're dating, you don't want to come to them with the negative
Yeah.
first. You want to start with the positive. You want to start on the right foot. What's good about our relationship? What's better? What is helping us work? What are we doing that's working well for us? Don't even think about what's going wrong. Right now, think first, start off with what's gone right.
Wow.
Start off with what's been good. Start off with what has happened for you.
Yeah.
Start off with the things that worked in your favor. Start off with the things that have made you feel loved, the things that have made you feel cared for, the things that have made you feel special. Start off with those things first. Reflect on the good in your life.
Right. I mean, let's talk about some things that went
Mm-hmm.
right in this year for us. For example, now we spend time building relationship with the
The
kids. Really,
kids,
the
yeah.
crazy thing about it is like we got to know them again. I mean, because I mean they're different.
Yeah, they're
They was always
teenagers.
in their room and locked up, and because of COVID, we were we talked more and
Yeah.
had
Lots more
conversations
family
and
time. We spent everyone in our house. We've spent a lot more time gathered together in the kitchen.
yeah,
We've spent a lot more time gathered together in the living room.
yeah,
We've spent a lot more time weekly choosing movies to watch together and
Yeah.
discussing the movies. We've even watched documentaries and we've all talked about them. So we have definitely, despite of what happened, everything that the world faced in COVID-19, the good for us or what went right for us was something we were working on. We said we have to be more intentional about the time we spend with those inside of our house
Yeah.
because everybody had so much going on. We had so much going on, and we were always on the go and always on the move. And you don't even realize
Mm.
that, in a sense, you are neglecting those that are right in your house and you love them, you care for them. You think, I'm taking care of them, I'm feeding them, I'm doing this as a parent, and I'm doing this as a guy.
Yeah.
I'm, watching the grades and all of that. But to really begin to celebrate
Yeah.
life with them and just to have those moments where we're talking about rappers that I don't know nothing about, but the teenagers talking about them. So I'm listening.
Right.
And
Right.
so that's building the relationship. And he's talking to me about rappers that got shot and all this stuff. And I don't know these rappers, but I'm listening
Yeah.
because what I'm doing in this
That's
moment,
their world. That's their
exactly. And
world.
what
And
I'm
you know,
doing
we
in this
now
moment is building a relationship with
yeah.
him. And so that's more important than the fact that we can't go to the mall or like people have begun to move around more, but we're
Yeah.
still at home. So those are the things that we have gotten right this year. Those are the things that have gone right for us. We have reignited a relationship, a closeness, a we're in tune and we're
Yeah.
more connected with those in our household rather than we have so many things going on the outside.
Yeah.
And the same thing for us. We have been intentional about the days and times that we've done that as far as we were doing that as far as our quarterly vacations, but we're talking about time we're just spending with each other. And it's like there's nothing on the agenda. It's just me listening to you. It's you listening to me. It's us. We're sitting on the couch together. Maybe TV on, maybe the TV's
Yeah.
not on, but we're cultivating relationships. So and that has happened even on Zoom and everything else. We've been able to do that with other people, spend quality time with people. So if I would say the thing that went right for us that I am so grateful for 2020 is the closeness of coming together.
Right. Another thing that went right, even in ministry, I mean, it's so amazing. I mean, the stories we've been hearing in
Mm-hmm.
ministry, how, a lot of people have grown,
Mm-hmm.
people, have grown more this year than, I mean, just, the last 5 years combined. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just so amazing. So that's another good thing I believe happened on this year,
Absolutely.
self growth, it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people. I mean, people have grown
Mm-hmm.
in their lives, even outside of us, people that we have spoke life
People that we're
into,
connected to.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been so amazing, the stories we hear all the time. I mean, it definitely brings tears to my eyes. And very rewarding to hear all these great stories, people, their lives are changing. We have people, that all the kind of thing. I don't want to start naming specifics, but I mean, it's so much good that's happened, this year, 2020. In spite of what has been going on, as far as global.
And even and not only that, we started two podcasts. You started Lead to Greatness,
Yeah.
and you've been interviewing some amazing, awesome people
Yeah.
that are pouring
Mm.
into us and pouring into everybody that listens and watch on YouTube. We started the Marriage Coach
Yeah.
podcast, which has been amazing for us
Yeah.
and other people that are
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah.
We're getting great feedback from people listening to the Marriage Coach podcast. We're getting great feedback from people listening to Lead to Greatness. And you and I ourselves have learned so much from the people that you are interviewing on Lead to Greatness. And
Yeah.
we're also learning, or not learning,
It's
but
been amazing.
revisiting things in our own lives that we are now sharing with the Marriage Coach podcast
Yeah.
listeners, things that have worked for us and things that have been good for us. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's some other things that went.
Yeah. The first question you ask yourself is what went right.
Mm.
So the second question you want to ask yourself is what went wrong.
Mm.
What went wrong?
Yeah.
What went wrong? What went wrong? What didn't work out? What do we need to adjust? What do we need to stop doing? What
Mm-hmm.
do we need to change?
Yeah.
It's like what went wrong, and then after you figure out what went wrong, you want to ask yourself a question: Why?
Yeah.
Why did it go wrong? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we just don't want to just focus on what went wrong, but we want to try to solve the issue,
Mm-hmm.
because what we don't want is for it to repeat year after year. We've been in this cycle in our marriage, in our relationship, in our lives as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that cycle is repeating the
Repeating the
same
same
thing
thing year after
over
year.
and
Yes.
over and over again.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
2000, you're dealing with this issue. Then 2001, you're
Mm-hmm.
dealing with it again. 2005, you're dealing with the same thing. 2010, and the whole decade has went by, and you still dealing and struggling with the same thing over and over again. So it's a certain point of your life where you have to ask yourself a question. Stop and ask yourself this question: what went wrong, and how can I prevent it from happening again?
Absolutely, absolutely. And for couples, this is the litmus test. You have 12 months worth of evidence. You have almost 12 months worth of evidence to look back on and to look at things in your life and what went wrong. If we find ourselves in a desperate place financially, what
Yeah,
went wrong?
yeah,
If we don't have a savings, what went wrong? If we did not purchase the house this year, what went wrong?
yeah,
If we did not pay off the credit card bills, what went wrong? If we are not getting along, what went wrong? If I'm at the end, if we've been together all year and we've been married for years and I'm looking at you and I'm almost to the point that I can't stand to see your face, what went wrong? This is the perfect time to ask yourself this question and to think about how it applies to your relationship. If things are off kilter with your kids, what went wrong?
right,
And when you start to think about what you said, the why, listen. This is not a time when you start pointing the blame. This is your fault. This is your fault. This went wrong because of you. This went wrong because of you. No, we want to look at it as a team effort. What went wrong? How can we make it better? Why
yeah,
are we here again? If we just celebrated Christmas. If we were in debt last year, December 26th, why? If we are in debt again, why? What led to this? What are the steps that got us to this point?
yeah,
If we are to the point where we're almost in divorce court, couples, why are we here?
yeah,
Have we been here before? What led us here? Okay, what went wrong? Why are we here?
yeah,
If we are engaged and we're not sure because this is going on, what went wrong?
right.
Why are we here? This is the perfect opportunity to reflect. You got 12 months to look back on, 6 months, however long you've been together as a couple, you have those months to look back on. And if something has gone wrong, you now have the time to dig into it and find out why.
I want to slow down, kind of, just kind of let off the gas a little bit, because
Mm-hmm.
I do. So far as what went wrong, I mean, we're experiencing an unusual
Mm-hmm.
situation this year, because of COVID-19. So for somebody that's dealing with financial crisis because of COVID-19, maybe you got laid off from your job, maybe
Mm-hmm.
something happened, whatever. Whatever the case may be. I mean, the list going on things that can happen. Maybe you suffered a divorce, or so suffered a crisis on this year. Maybe something like that, a life changing moment. Maybe you lost someone in your family. Maybe you lost a spouse. Maybe you lost, a child. Maybe you lost a family member, and you are grieving right now, going through something else, So I just want to put a pin right here to just to let know. I mean, that there's sometimes
Mm-hmm.
there's things in our life that we
Out of
have no
control.
control over.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about what went wrong, how can we, trying to fix that? I mean, you can't fix something you have
It's
no
out of your
control over.
control.
It's out of your
Absolutely.
control. What I'm talking about, and I
That's
just want to
good to
slow
be
down,
clear.
because I
Mm-hmm.
want to be clear. The things that you have in your control. And you can ask yourself this question. You can ask yourself, you can
Mm.
still say what went wrong. And then when you begin to ask yourself why, the why can simply be out of your control. And if it's out of your control, there's nothing you can do
Nothing you
about
can
it.
do about it.
Nothing
That's
you can do
good.
about it.
That's
Only
true.
thing we can deal with is what we have control
Mm-hmm.
over. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's still good to
Yeah.
ask that question why, because sometimes you may think something is out of your control, but maybe it wasn't. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you may think it wasn't out of your control, and it was. So just really asking the why anyway. Just really going through and just asking that why. I think that'll be very helpful in your relationship, in your business, with your children, with your family, with your finance, in every aspect of your life. So the first question is what went right.
Mhm.
Second question is what
What
went
went wrong?
wrong. The next one, I love this question. This is my favorite. Is how can we make it better? How can we make it better?
This is the moment when you're planning. This is the moment when you are strategizing. What steps do we take to get to where we want to be?
Yeah,
What things are we doing next? What moves are we making
yeah,
next? What is next on our agenda?
yeah,
What goals do we need to set in place?
yeah,
How can we get
yeah.
to where we want to get
Mhm.
together? What is it that we can start right now? Because, a lot of times also when we're looking at the end of the year and we're reflecting and we're thinking and we're checking our lives and we're doing these things, sometimes we want to put things off till January 1.
Mm.
Oh, in January 1, I'll be a better wife. In January 1, I'll be a better mother. In January 1, I'm going to get along better with people. I'm going to change the way let's not wait till January 1 for
Do it
everything.
now.
For
Do it
some
now.
things,
Yeah,
exactly. For the things that you can start today, start it today.
yeah,
If there are steps that will help you, okay, Christmas is gone. I spent the money, I put it on credit cards, whatever you did, it's done. But what can you do to make sure you're not in that place
yeah,
again next year?
yeah.
If the relationship went bad and it's something that's within your control, what can we do? What can I do to make sure I'm not in this place next year?
Right,
If the husband and the wife are not getting along and there's a responsibility that I bear, what can I do so that we're not in this place next year? What are the next step? Maybe the next step is coaching. Maybe the next step is counseling. Maybe the next step is, personal therapy, whatever it is for us to be better, for us to get to where we are trying to go. What is next? And let's begin to put some things in place. And what we can do now, we'll start now.
yeah,
We're not going to put out everything for tomorrow that we can do today.
right,
Now, there are some things you may not be able to do, for maybe you got to get some finances in order to be able to do some things. That's fine. We have to be realistic about what we can do right now and what we need to wait for. Because if it's something I can do today, there's really no point in me saying I'm gonna wait another week to do it. If I can start being nicer to my spouse today, there's no point in
yeah.
me
You don't have
saying,
to wait till
yeah, I don't
2021 to
need to
do
wait
that.
till
Yeah,
2021 to do that. If I can start having a better temperament with my kids, there's no point for me to wait till January 1 to do that.
yeah,
If I can start saving more now, do that from the next
yeah.
paycheck instead of I'm gonna wait till this. No, let's start that now. Whatever we need to do, the steps that we can start now, let's start that now. And the things that's going to take a while, let's iron that out.
Yeah.
How long is this going to take? Realistically, how long is it going to take for me to pay off this credit card bill? How long is it going to take for us to come out of this debt? How is it going to take counseling for us to be better? Whatever it is, let's work those steps out and let's get the ball rolling.
Right. Okay. How can we make it better? Another thing can be like, man, we had an awesome, amazing
Mm-hmm.
Christmas this year. How can we make this better? Okay. Maybe you can make it better by beginning to save right now. Start saving right now and create a
Account.
Christmas
Mm-hmm.
giving account or having money set to the side just for Christmas. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, when
Absolutely.
Christmas come around next year, man, we had a great time. Kids had a ball. Everybody was happy. I sat back drinking my tea, watching everybody with big smiles on their face. We're watching movies. We had all this great time, and it was so memorable,
Mm-hmm.
just life changing for every last one of us in our household. But here it is. Now I have a
Now
financial
we're not
strain.
broke. Now
But
we're
it's
not
like,
struggling.
but
Yes.
it's like next year, how can we make this better? Okay, maybe next year we can do the same thing, have the great experience. We still got money in our savings account. We
Hmm.
still have money for this. So it's like start preparing for right now. So that's one thing you can do, even with the question, how can we make it better? How can we make it better? Just really, maybe saving more. How can we make it better in our marriage? Yeah, things were good, man. We reconciled. We had a few hiccups this year.
Hmm.
We had some ups and we had some downs, but
Hmm.
man, here we
We worked
are.
it out.
Here
Hmm.
we are at the end of the year, stronger than we were at first. We survived this. We're surviving. The children have survived. All these different things. It's like,
And
man,
now we want to thrive.
what can I do? What can I do to go from here?
Yeah.
to go from this point to making things even better than what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to actually look at life and think, how can I make things better
Yeah.
next year? How can I make, not even next year, how can I make things better
Forever. This
from
moment
this
forward. Yeah.
point forward?
Yeah.
How can I make things better from this moment forward? What can I do differently? Because one thing that I have learned for in 2020 without a doubt is that a lot of the things that we thought we needed, we don't really need.
Mm.
A lot of the stuff that we've been filling our lives with, we don't really need. What we need and what we cherish is time together. What we need and what we cherish are the memories of our loved ones and the joy that they bring to our heart, the times that we spent with them, the times that we've enjoyed things with them. The simplest little things matter the most when you begin to look at life in its entirety. What is this all about? So, doing the things that will say to us, how will we be better point forward?
Yeah.
It's, I'm telling you, it will blow your mind if you just take inventory and think about the things that we can do to be better.
And this is the thing for some of us. There's some people listening today that never heard these three questions, and I'm telling you, I've been using these three questions for maybe, I want to say maybe 5 6 years. Been using these three questions. I wish I remember where I got them from. I don't remember, but I've been using them, and these questions has changed my life. It's changed that. It's changed our
Yeah.
relationship.
And we
It's
use
changed
them
our
for
marriage,
everything.
and we use it for everything. Man,
Yeah.
people at church using these three questions, but it's changed every aspect of our life. What went right? What went wrong? How can we make it better? So, for those that just your first time hearing these three questions, I want you to begin. Once you get the hang of and this become a part of your routine, I want you to begin to start using these questions once a month. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the next step. The next step, I want you to move from doing it once a year to doing it once a month.
Using it
You know,
more
the end of
often.
January, ask yourself a question: what went right? What went wrong? How can we make it better? Then once you get that going and you pretty consistent with that, then I want you to begin to ask yourself these questions every week.
Mm-hmm.
Every week, I want you to ask yourself this question: what went wrong? What went right? How can we make it better? I want you to ask yourself this every week. And then once you get the routine of asking yourself this every week, I want you to do it. Yes, yes, I want you to do it every day. I
Every
want
day.
you to I want you to get up in the evening, and I want you to ask yourself the question whether you do it in the evening or whether you do it in the morning. I want you to ask yourself these three questions: what went right in my day? What went wrong? And how
Mm-hmm.
can I make it better? The reason why I believe we should ask these questions more than once every year, because what you have to understand, we shouldn't wait a whole entire 12 months. That's 365 days gone by, and then we wait till the end of the year, the end of December, the beginning of January, and that's when we want to make our adjustments. No,
Mm-hmm.
we don't want to make our adjustments in after 365 days. No, you want to make those adjustments every day, every day. You want to be like an airplane going from one destination to the next. I mean, the wind is blowing and the pilot is constantly making adjustments that whole flight. You have turbulence and they're making adjustments the whole entire flight. Can you imagine if the pilot made the first adjustment once they took off and then an hour later they make their second adjustment? You would never get to your destination. So what I want you to do, I want us to close in that gap of drifting, because in a year you can drift far off of the goal. So I want you to begin every single day. And I promise you, these three questions will bless your life. It will bless your marriage. It will bless your relationship. It will bless your business. It will bless you as a professional, as it bless your career. It will bless every aspect of your life. It will bless you. I promise you. These three questions. I'm gonna say it again. What went right? what went wrong and how can we make it better.
We want to thank you for joining us today on the Marriage Coach Podcast. If you enjoyed the information that you heard on today, we want to invite you to subscribe and click the notification button so that you will be notified when we upload a video every week. If you're listening on iTunes, rate the podcast and leave a review. That'll help us get the word out. We want to invite you to head on over to our leadership podcast, Lead to Greatness, on YouTube and iTunes.
Thank you for joining us today on the Marriage Coach Podcast. Looking forward to hanging out with you again on next week as we continue to help you take your relationship
from surviving to thriving. Bye. See you next week.